I thought I knew what betrayal felt like until our anniversary night at that fancy restaurant. After 15 years of marriage, I got up to pay the bill, never expecting those few steps would destroy my entire world. Walking back to our table, I heard my wife's voice, soft, intimate, passionate, speaking words she hadn't said to me in months. Words meant for another man. Now I have to decide how a real man handles the ultimate betrayal. My name is Tyler Fleming. I'm 46 years old and work as a flight instructor for Elite Aviation, training pilots for private airlines and wealthy clients with personal aircraft. It's a good gig, challenging, well-paid, and it's given my family a comfortable life in our suburban Denver home. Flying has always been my escape. Up there, everything makes sense. There are rules, procedures, and consequences that follow a logical order. Nothing like the chaotic mess of human relationships. Joanna and I met in college. She was pre-med while I was getting my aviation degree. We were young, crazy about each other, and convinced we had it all figured out. Fast forward 20 years, and we had what I thought was the perfect life. Our daughter Jennifer, a beautiful home with a view of the mountains, and careers we both loved. Joanna eventually switched from medicine to clinical research coordination, managing drug trials at a pharmaceutical company. The hours were better, and it meant more time with Jennifer. "Dad, can you help me with this math homework?" Jennifer called from the kitchen table, frustration evident in her voice. I set down my coffee and moved to sit beside my daughter. At 12, she had her mother's eyes and my stubbornness. "Show me what's giving you trouble, kiddo." As I helped Jennifer with her algebra, Joanna swept into the kitchen, already dressed for work in a sharp blazer and pencil skirt. She was still turning heads at 43, something I took pride in. She dropped a kiss on my head and grabbed a travel mug for coffee. "Big day?" I asked, noticing her rush. New trial starting. "Adrian's got everyone on high alert," she replied, referring to her department director. "Don't wait up tonight." I nodded, trying to ignore the slight pinch of disappointment. It was the third late night this week. "We still on for the anniversary trip this weekend?" "Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it," she said, but her eyes were on her phone, thumbs typing rapidly. 15 years deserves something special. As she hurried out the door, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted between us. When had we started to feel like roommates instead of lovers? Work, parenting, life's daily grind, they all take their toll. But marriages need maintenance like aircraft. Skip the routine checks, and, eventually, something vital fails. I had no idea just how catastrophic that failure would be, or how soon I'd discover the truth. I sipped my cooling coffee and smiled at Jennifer. "Let's knock out this homework. Then maybe we can convince your mom to take a night off soon. Family movie night like we used to do." Jennifer brightened. "Yeah, I miss those." So did I. In fact, I was missing a lot of things about our life together, things that had quietly slipped away while I wasn't looking. The first real warning sign came on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were when I took advanced students on cross-country flights, and I just landed with a corporate exec who needed his instrument rating refreshed. I was bone-tired after fighting headwinds all afternoon when I spotted Joanna's car in the mall parking lot. Nothing unusual there, except she told me she had meetings at the lab all day. I almost didn't stop. Part of me, the part that values trust above all else, wanted to drive on, pretend I hadn't seen anything. But something made me pull in. Just grabbing a coffee, I told myself, steering toward the Starbucks entrance near where her silver Audi was parked. That's when I saw them. Joanna and a man I didn't recognize, sitting at an outdoor table, leaning towards each other. His hand briefly touched hers before she pulled away, laughing at something he'd said. There was an energy between them that was impossible to miss. My stomach dropped like I'd hit an air pocket at 10,000 feet. I ducked behind a pillar, feeling ridiculous. 46 years old, hiding like a teenager. The man was tall, dark-haired, maybe early 40s. Nice suit. The kind of guy who probably had never had engine grease under his fingernails. I left without being seen, driving home in a fog of confusion. When Joanna came home that evening, I watched her carefully. "How were the meetings?" I asked casually over dinner. "Endless," she sighed, serving Jennifer some pasta. "Adrian's determined to get this trial protocol approved by next month." Adrian. So that was him. Her boss. The man at the coffee shop. "Jennifer, how's that science project coming along?" Joanna changed the subject. Mrs. Davis gave me an extension, our daughter replied, twirling spaghetti around her fork. Dad's gonna help me build the solar system model this weekend. That's great, honey. Joanna's phone buzzed, and she glanced at it, a small smile playing at her lips before she turned it face down on the table. Someone important? I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. Just work stuff, she replied, too quickly. That night, I lay awake beside her, listening to her breathing, wondering when we'd become strangers. The next morning, I called my buddy Marcus. Grab a beer after work? I asked when he picked up. Something wrong. Marcus had been my friend since flight school. He knew me too well. Maybe. Not sure. A few hours later, we sat in a corner booth at O'Malley's, the local pilot hangout near the airfield. You think she's cheating? Marcus asked bluntly after I'd explained what I'd seen. I don't know. Maybe I'm paranoid. They could have been having a work meeting. At a mall coffee shop? When she told you she was at the lab all day. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Come on, Tyler. You're not stupid. 15 years, man. We have Jennifer to think about. I stared into my beer. And our anniversary is this weekend. So what's your play here? I sighed, feeling the weight of uncertainty. I need to be sure before I say anything. I'm taking her to Ellington's for our anniversary, sparing no expense. If things are good between us, maybe what I saw was nothing. Marcus looked unconvinced. And if it's not nothing, then I'll have some decisions to make. I spent the days leading up to our anniversary doing what any desperate man would do, trying to recapture what we'd lost. I booked a suite at the Brown Palace Hotel downtown after our dinner reservation. Bought Joanna a platinum and sapphire bracelet that cost more than my first car. Arranged for Jennifer to stay with her grandparents for the weekend. I was determined to either rekindle what was fading or confirm my worst fears. The morning of our anniversary, I took Jennifer to school myself. You gonna fix things with Mom? She asked suddenly as we pulled up to the drop-off lane. I nearly choked on my coffee. What do you mean, kiddo? Jennifer rolled her eyes with all the wisdom of her 12 years. Dad, I'm not stupid. You guys barely talk anymore. And Mom's always on her phone. A wave of guilt washed over me. Kids pick up on everything. That's what this weekend is for, I assured her, reaching over to squeeze her shoulder. Your mom and I just need some time together. She nodded, unconvinced, and climbed out. Hope it works. That made two of us. That evening, Joanna emerged from our bedroom in a sleek black dress I hadn't seen before. She looked stunning and like a stranger. New dress? I asked, adjusting my tie in the hallway mirror. Just a little something I picked up, she replied, applying lipstick without meeting my eyes. Ellington's was perfect, soft lighting, pristine white tablecloths, the kind of place that makes you forget about the outside world. I ordered champagne, raised my glass. To 15 years, I said, and many more. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. 15 years. Throughout dinner, I tried. God knows I tried. Reminded her of our honeymoon in Hawaii. Asked about her work, her dreams, anything to break through the wall between us. But every few minutes, her phone would buzz, and her eyes would drift down to her purse. Important, I finally asked after the third time. Just work, she said. The lab results for the new trial are coming in. On our anniversary. At 8 p.m. My voice had an edge to it that I couldn't disguise. Tyler, you know how demanding medical research is. Lives are at stake. And our marriage isn't. She flinched, then glanced around. Can we not do this here? Do what? Ask my wife to be present on our anniversary. Her phone buzzed again. She glanced at it, and something in her expression changed, softened. I need to use the restroom, she murmured, grabbing her phone and purse. I watched her walk away, straight-backed and elegant. A waiter approached with the check, and I nodded for him to leave it. I'll take care of this now, I told him, pulling out my credit card. A decision made in an instant that would change everything. On our anniversary night, I got up to pay the bill. It's funny how life turns on such small moments. Walking back through the restaurant, credit card receipt in hand, I felt a strange calm. The kind that comes before a storm. Joanna hadn't returned to our table yet. I glanced toward the ladies' room, then hesitated as I heard her voice from the hallway leading to the restaurant's private rooms. I moved closer, keeping out of sight. Call it instinct, call it suspicion. Something pulled me toward that voice. I know, she was saying in a hushed, intimate tone I hadn't heard from her in months. It's complicated. Yes, I miss you too. I froze, my back against the wall, heart hammering in my chest. The world narrowed to that hallway, that voice. Adrian, we have to be careful, she continued. Tyler's not stupid. I know this weekend would have been perfect, but I couldn't get out of this dinner without raising more questions. My hands clenched into fists. Every muscle in my body tensed, ready for fight or flight. But I forced myself to remain still, to listen. I'll find a way to see you tomorrow. Yes, I've thought about it constantly. I know what I want. A waiter approached, and I stepped back, smiling tightly as he passed. When I looked again, Joanna was ending her call, her face flushed with an emotion I recognized all too well. It wasn't guilt. It was desire. For 15 years I trusted my instincts in the air, making split-second decisions that kept people alive. Now, those same instincts told me my marriage was in a death spiral. I returned to our table before she did, ordering another scotch. When Joanna slid back in her seat, she looked different to me, like a stranger wearing my wife's face. "Everything okay?" she asked, noticing my expression. "Fine," I replied, the word like ash in my mouth. "The lab results coming okay?" She hesitated, just a fraction of a second. "Yes, all looking positive." "Liar." "Good to hear," I said, sipping my scotch. "You've been working closely with Adrian on this project, haven't you?" Her eyes flickered. "The whole team has been involved, but especially Adrian, your boss." I kept my tone conversational, even as rage and hurt built inside me. She picked up her wine glass. "He's the lead researcher. Why are you asking about this now?" I shrugged. "Just making conversation with my wife on our anniversary." A tense silence fell between us. 15 years reduced to awkward small talk and secrets. "Should we order dessert?" she finally asked. "I've lost my appetite," I replied. "But don't let that stop you." Her eyes narrowed. "Tyler, what's going on?" I leaned forward. "That's exactly what I'm trying to figure out." For a moment, I considered confronting her right there, laying it all out in this elegant restaurant with its perfect tablecloths and oblivious diners. But Jennifer's face flashed in my mind. My daughter deserved better than a public scene that would become neighborhood gossip. "Let's head back to the hotel," I said instead, decision made. "We need to talk." The suite at the Brown Palace felt like a stage set for a drama I never wanted to star in. Ornate furnishings, champagne on ice, rose petals on the bed. All my pathetic attempts to salvage something already lost. Joanna walked to the window, staring out the Denver skyline while I closed the door behind us. The silence stretched between us like a taut wire. "Who's Adrian to you, Joanna?" I finally asked, my voice steady despite the hurricane inside me. She stiffened but didn't turn. "My boss. You know that." "Don't." The word came out harder than I intended. "Don't insult me by lying." "Not anymore." She turned then, her expression guarded. "What are you talking about?" "I heard you on the phone at the restaurant." I stepped closer, hands in my pockets to keep them from shaking. "You and Adrian seem to have quite a bit to discuss that isn't work-related." Color drained from her face, replaced by a flush of anger. "You were spying on me? Is that really your play here? To make me the bad guy for discovering your affair?" "It's not what you think." "It never is," I replied, my calm surprising even me. "It's funny. I fly planes through thunderstorms for a living, but I never expected my marriage to crash and burn like this." Joanna moved to the couch, sinking down. "Tyler, it's complicated. Actually, it's pretty simple. Are you sleeping with him?" Her silence was answer enough. "How long?" I asked, forcing each word past the vice grip in my throat. 6 months, she whispered. "It started during the Phoenix conference." 6 months. Half a year of lies. While I was teaching Jennifer to ride a bike without training wheels. While I was planning this anniversary trip. While I was still believing in us. "Do you love him?" The question tasted like acid. She looked up, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know. Maybe." I laughed, a hollow sound. "At least give me the dignity of honesty, Joanna. You don't throw away 15 years for maybe." "You haven't been there," she suddenly exploded. "You're always flying somewhere, always putting your career first. Adrian listens to me, understands the pressure I'm under." "Save it," I interrupted, voice like steel. "I've never missed a single one of Jennifer's events. I rearranged my entire schedule to be home every weekend. Don't rewrite our history to justify your choices." She fell silent, her narrative punctured by truth. "What happens now?" she finally asked. I walked to the minibar, poured myself a scotch, and drank it in one burning swallow. Now, I sleep in the other room tonight. Tomorrow, we go home and tell our daughter that her mother has decided our family isn't worth fighting for. I slept on the suite's couch that night. Though slept is generous. I stared at the ceiling, replaying 15 years of memories, wondering which ones were real and which were shadows. By dawn, I made my decision. Joanna emerged from the bedroom as I was packing my overnight bag. Her eyes were puffy, mascara smudged beneath them. "We need to talk," she said. "I think we said everything last night." I zipped the bag closed with finality. "Tyler, please. I made a terrible mistake." Her voice cracked. "We can work through this. For Jennifer's sake." I stopped, turned to face her. "Don't you dare use our daughter to manipulate me. That's not what Isn't it? You didn't think about Jennifer when you were with Adrian these past 6 months. Now, suddenly she matters." A tear slid down Joanna's cheek. "I've always put Jennifer first." "No, you put yourself first." I shoulder my bag. "I'm checking out. I'll meet you at home later today." The 3-hour drive back to our house gave me time to strategize. I wasn't about to be driven from my own home or separated from my daughter. But I needed allies, evidence, protection. I called Marcus from the road. "She admitted it," I said when he answered. 6 months with her boss. "Jesus. I'm sorry, man." His voice was grim. "What's your next move?" "Need a recommendation for a good divorce attorney. Someone who won't get steamrolled. My cousin went through a rough one last year. His lawyer was a pit bull. I'll text you your info." By the time I reached our neighborhood, I had an appointment scheduled for Monday morning with Denver's most feared divorce attorney. I pulled into our driveway, noticing Joanna's car wasn't there yet. Good. I needed time to secure what was important. Inside, I went straight to my home office. Birth certificates, insurance documents, financial records. Everything went into a portfolio. I downloaded bank statements showing our joint finances, made copies of tax returns, photographed valuables we'd acquired during our marriage. Not out of pettiness, but protection. A pile of plans for every contingency, even disasters. Next, I drove to Denver First Bank and opened a separate account, transferring half our savings. Not a penny more. I wasn't trying to hide assets, just secure what was rightfully mine. When I returned home, Jennifer was with my mother-in-law in the living room. "Dad," she threw herself into my arms. "How was your trip? Did Mom fix whatever was bothering her?" My heart clenched. "Hey, sunshine. Mom's on her way home. We have some things to talk about." My mother-in-law caught my expression and frowned. "Jennifer, why don't you show me that science project in your room?" When they were upstairs, I sat in the kitchen, hands steady despite the turbulence inside me. I'd flown through storms before. I would navigate this one too. For Jennifer. For myself. For the man I'd promised to be. Joanna arrived home late afternoon, her face a mask of practiced contrition. I was in the backyard, mindlessly splitting firewood, each swing of the axe a controlled release of rage. The steady rhythm of steel against wood, the satisfying crack of logs splitting clean, it cleared my head in ways nothing else could. She approached cautiously, hovering at the edge of the patio. "We need to talk about how to tell Jennifer." I embedded the axe in the chopping block and wiped sweat from my brow. "Already worked it out. We tell her together. No details about Adrian. Just that we're separating because we've grown apart." "Separating? Tyler, I made a mistake. We can work through this." I laughed, a sharp sound without humor. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary or saying something hurtful in anger. 6 months of sleeping with another man isn't a mistake. It's a campaign. I'll end it with Adrian. I'll quit my job. Whatever it takes. Too late. I walked past her into the house, grabbing a water bottle from the refrigerator. "The lawyer's expecting me Monday morning." Her face paled. "You've already contacted a lawyer?" "Better believe it." I drained half the bottle in one long swallow. "We tell Jennifer tonight. Then I'm taking her fishing tomorrow. Just the two of us. You can't cut me out of my daughter's life." I set the bottle down carefully. "I'm not. But I am making damn sure she knows I'm not going anywhere, no matter what happens between you and me." That evening, we sat Jennifer down in the living room. Her eyes darted between us, already sensing disaster. At 12, she was too perceptive for her own good. "Honey," Joanna began, voice breaking, "your dad and I have something difficult to tell you." "You're getting divorced," Jennifer stated flatly. The directness knocked the wind from both of us. "We're separating," I corrected gently. We've been having problems for a while. Because Mom's seeing someone else. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. I'm not stupid. I heard her on the phone with him. Joanna gasped. Jennifer, Save it. Our daughter snapped, sounding so much like me, it would have been funny under different circumstances. Ashley's mom did the same thing to her dad last year. I know how this works. I moved to sit beside Jennifer, putting my arm around her shoulders. I'm sorry you had to find out that way, but I need you to know something important. I turned her to face me. You are the most important person in my life. Nothing about that is changing. Not ever. Jennifer nodded, tears streaming now. Where will we live? This is your home, I said firmly. You'll stay here with me. Joanna made a strangled sound, but one look from me silenced her protest. But I'll still see Mom, right? Jennifer asked. Of course, I assured her. Your mom loves you very much. That hasn't changed. Later, after Jennifer had gone to bed, Joanna confronted me in the kitchen. You had no right to tell her she's staying with you. We haven't discussed custody. I faced her squarely. I'm not uprooting her from her home, her school, and her friends because you couldn't keep your vows. You want to blow up our marriage? Fine. But Jennifer stays put. The courts. Go ahead, I challenged. Explain to a judge why your affair should result in my daughter being taken from her home. Monday morning, I walked into Patricia Harmon's law office with a portfolio of documents and a steely resolve. Patricia was exactly what Marcus had described, a petite woman in her 50s with the calculating eyes of a predator. Tell me everything, she said after the pleasantries. Leave nothing out. I laid out the timeline, the evidence, the confrontation. Showed her the financial records I'd gathered. Smart man, she noted, reviewing my documentation. Most clients come in emotional wrecks without a shred of paperwork. I fly planes, I explained. I'm trained to handle emergencies methodically. She nodded approvingly. What do you want from this divorce, Mr. Fleming? Primary custody of Jennifer. The house. Fair division of assets. I don't want to destroy Joanna, but I won't be taken advantage of either. And your wife's position on these matters. She thinks we're working things out, I said, making air quotes. Thinks I'll forgive and forget. Patricia's lips formed a thin smile. They often do. We'll file immediately, citing infidelity. Colorado is not a pure no-fault state. Adultery still factors into asset division and potentially custody. As I left her office, my phone buzzed with a text from Joanna. We need to talk. Meet for lunch? I ignored it. Let her wonder. Let her worry. At the airfield, I informed my supervisor I needed a schedule adjustment. Brad had been my mentor for years, practically family. Everything okay, Tyler? He asked, concern etching his weathered face. Getting divorced. Need more predictable hours for Jennifer. His eyebrows shot up, but he simply nodded. We'll make it work. The Seattle route is all daytime flights, home every night. It's yours if you want it. By afternoon, I'd secured a new flight schedule and enrolled Jennifer in a counseling program for kids dealing with divorce. No detail too small, no contingency unplanned for. When I picked Jennifer up from school, her eyes were red-rimmed. Rough day, I asked as she climbed into the truck. She nodded, buckling her seatbelt. Mom kept texting me, asking about coming over tonight. What did you tell her? That I wasn't ready. Jennifer looked out the window. Dad, will we have to move? No, honey. I reached over, squeezing her shoulder. This is our home. I've already made sure of it. What about Mom's stuff? We'll deal with that later. Right now, let's get ice cream. Her smile, though faint, was the first victory in days. That evening, Joanna showed up unannounced. I met her at the door, blocking the entrance. You can't just ignore me, Tyler, she said, voice rising. This is still my house, too. Actually, it's not. I filed for divorce today. You'll be served tomorrow. The color drained from her face. You what? You heard me. Jennifer's not ready to see you yet. When she is, we'll arrange it. You can't keep my daughter from me. Her voice rose, drawing the attention of our neighbor walking his dog. I lower my voice. I'm not. But I won't let you bulldoze her feelings either. She knows what you did, Joanna. 6 months passed like a slow-motion emergency landing, controlled chaos giving way to a new normal. The divorce was finalized with surprising efficiency. Patricia Harmon had earned every penny of her exorbitant fee, securing primary custody for me and a favorable asset division. Joanna got the vacation condo in Aspen and a fair share of our investments, But Jennifer remained in our family home with me. Today marked my first face-to-face encounter with Adrian. Jennifer's school science fair had brought us all into the same room, an awkward triangle of tension that my daughter pretended not to notice as she proudly showed off her solar system model. Dad built the support structure, but I did all the planets myself, she explained to the judge, a retired NASA engineer who seemed genuinely impressed. I stood back, giving Jennifer her moment. Joanna and Adrian hovered on the periphery, him in an expensive suit, her in a dress I'd never seen before. When Jennifer walked over to greet her mother, I found myself alone with Adrian for the first time. Fleming. He nodded stiffly. Adrian. I kept my voice neutral, surprising myself with how little anger remained. The rage that had once consumed me had burned down to cold embers. Jennifer's project is impressive, he offered. She did most of it herself. Kid's got a future in engineering if she wants it. An awkward silence stretched between us. Look, I know this isn't, he began. Save it. I interrupted, but without heat. I'm here for Jennifer. That's all that matters. He nodded, understanding the unspoken boundaries. Later, as we drove home, Jennifer clutched her second-place ribbon. You okay with Mom bringing Adrian? I asked carefully. She shrugged. It's weird, but not as weird as it was. You're handling this better than most adults would. I saw Mrs. Evans at counseling yesterday, she said, referring to her therapist. She says I'm processing my new reality with remarkable resilience. I smiled. She's right. Dad. She turned to me, suddenly serious. Are you ever going to date anyone? The question caught me off guard. Maybe someday. Not rushing into anything. Good. Because there's this mom from my soccer team, Ms. Wilson. She always asks about you. I laughed, the sound no longer hollow. Is my 12-year-old daughter trying to set me up? 13 next month, she corrected with a grin. And maybe. She's nice. Makes amazing cookies. I reached over and ruffled her hair, a gesture she'd recently begun to tolerate again. Let's focus on that science fair ribbon for now. That night, after Jennifer was asleep, I sat on the back deck with a beer, looking at the stars. For the first time in months, I felt something unexpected taking root inside me. Hope. 1 year after that fateful anniversary dinner, I stood in my backyard, tending to steaks on a grill. The spring air carried the scent of new beginnings, freshly cut grass, blooming flowers, and the promise of summer. Need any help? Sarah Wilson appeared beside me, bearing a plate of her famous homemade burger buns. I think I can handle flipping meat without crashing, I joked, referencing my profession. She laughed, a warm, genuine sound that still surprised me every time I heard it. We'd been dating for 3 months, taking things slow at my insistence. Jennifer had made good on her matchmaking threat, accidentally inviting Sarah and her son Dylan over for dinner one night. Across the yard, Jennifer and Dylan were engaged in an intense badminton match, their competitive shouts filling the air. At 13, Jennifer had emerged from the wreckage of our family with a resilience that humbled me daily. Your daughter's got quite the backhand, Sarah observed, watching Jennifer score a point against Dylan, who was 2 years older. Gets her competitive streak from me, I admitted. Among other things. Sarah bumped her shoulder against mine. You've done an amazing job with her, Tyler. The compliment warmed me more than it should have. We figured it out together. The doorbell rang, and Jennifer dropped her racket. I'll get it. Moments later, she returned with Joanna. My ex-wife had stopped bringing Adrian to these exchanges months ago, a silent acknowledgement that some boundaries needed respecting. The science camp forms are in her backpack, Joanna said, approaching us. Her eyes flickered to Sarah, then back to me. She's excited about it. Thanks for splitting the cost, I said, maintaining the cordial tone we'd established for Jennifer's sake. It's a great opportunity. Joanna nodded, then turned to Sarah, extending her hand. I don't think we've formally met. I'm Joanna, Jennifer's mother. Sarah Wilson, she replied, shaking Joanna's hand firmly. Dylan's mom. The kids play soccer together. The moment could have been awkward, but wasn't. We were all adapting to our new reality with as much grace as possible. After Joanna left, promising to pick Jennifer up Sunday evening, Sarah brushed her hand against mine. You okay? Better than okay, I realized, surprised by the truth of it. Later, as the 4 of us sat around the patio table eating dinner, the conversation flowing easily, I caught Jennifer watching me. She gave me a small, knowing smile, part approval, part satisfaction at her successful matchmaking. Life would never be what I'd once planned. The future I'd mapped out with Joanna had crashed and burned that night at Ellington's. But from the wreckage, something new had emerged. Not perfect, not what I'd expected, but solid. Real. As a pilot, I learned that sometimes, when a flight plan fails, you find a new route home.